The procurement of ballot papers was already done, and I will jog your mind back in July. I can't remember the specific date, but the newspapers in the country were all awash with news that ballot papers were coming from Uganda. And a honorable member was mentioned, whether it was data press or not. Funny enough, the night of that day, the chairman called me and said that tomorrow we are receiving our legit ballot papers from the airport. As the vice chair, I was shocked why this is happening as if we didn't have a plan. Nonetheless, the next day, the chairman plus a few commissioners went to the airport to receive our ballot paper, and the rest remained because we had a function with Kenya Private Sector Alliance. That day, there was a clear departure of the commission not working together. But for the sake of the country, we stood and we told the country that everything is in order. It was just communication breakdown between the secretariat and the commissioners. That should not have happened in a civilized country like ours. That is something that breaks the trust, because if the secretariat will do something and they will not inform the commissioner, that is wrong. Let me submit to the committee. But after that, the chairman proposed to the stakeholders that we will go to Greece to oversee the printing of the presidential ballot papers, because by then papers had already started coming to the country. So the presidential ballot papers were the last in the schedule to be printed. So the stakeholders, I am a chair of the partners, so the stakeholders gave their names and we started the process of getting visa to Greece. The process took a little bit longer than expected. We had to get people intervene on behalf of the team. By the time we left the country to Greece, the presidential ballot papers were already printed and were just doing the final bit of areas that had court cases that were slowly being concluded by the court. Say, for example, the Mombasa Liberatorium, that those were the last bits that were going to go into the printing. Our mandate was to check the presidential ballot papers and the printing process.
Cherera, sorry to cut you short.
The work.
Commissioner, sorry to cut you short.
Yes.
You said by the time you got to Greece, the presidential, all the other ballot papers by the time you left for Greece were here. But then you have mixed up yourself. You were talking about getting there and they were done, except cases in areas where there were cases like in Mombasa. But the presidential ballot paper is printed, one ballot paper for the entire country. It doesn't matter whether it's a case or not.
Yes, the ballot papers for presidential didn't have issues, because remember, we were printing the ballot papers for each voter for the whole country.
Commissioners needs to be selected 2 years before. We were only selected 8 or 9 months before the elections. That way we had found that many things had been done, and when we walked in, it is as if we are an interference.
So you feel the manner in which you are appointed had a bearing as to the workings of your commission, hence you being called greenhorns, feeling you are left out, and you think the country should follow the Kriegler recommendations in that light?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman.
But Wanderi also thinks, just a minute, Commissioner. Wanderi also thinks that the executive commissioners against the recommendations of the Kriegler Commission is also a